Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Admiration, where you join us on the only day of British summer. Isa and I both in vests. We are hoping for a second day tomorrow. We'll be grateful for what we get. Um, and this week, we are looking at an ad in the US for Tide called Stains Happen to the Best of Us. We were quite interested in looking at this one because we thought it was good storytelling, but actually, like Tide have a bit of a reputation for generally like quite light-hearted advertising, a bit of humor. We've seen it in the Super Bowl in past years, etc. So it seemed like a good one to look at. So with that, shall we jump straight in and look at the ad, Isa?
Let's have a look at it.
I bet Allison doesn't get jelly on her shirt.
Bet Noah Lyles doesn't get smoothie on his jersey.
Oh, come on. Bet Carl Lewis doesn't get tomato sauce on his jacket. Dang it.
Stains happen to the best of us. When they do, Tide's got you covered.
Pasta in Paris?
When in Rome.
It's got to be Tide, America's #1 detergent.
I'll show my age now, but the thing I love most about it is Carl Lewis. He was one of my favorite athletes growing up from his sprinting and his long jumping. So I don't feel like I've seen him in years. Lovely for him to make a visit to my screen.
Yeah,
Shall we look at
you're not alone there. I feel like a lot of people who responded to the ad mentioned him as something that they enjoyed as well. So don't feel like you're the only one.
Yeah, well, he's a bit of a hero, really. I mean, obviously, I'm not US based, but he was one of my athletic heroes growing up, even coming from a different country. It feels like he was like a real breakthrough. Shall we look at how people reacted to the ad?
Yeah. There you go, our usual diagnosis of the sales impact and the brand impact score. Very strong performance there on both sales impact and brand impact, performing in the top 5% of all ads that we've looked at in the US. And I guess particularly that unaided brand recall, we don't tend to see that high very often. So people spontaneously recalling the brand after watching the ad amongst a reel of other ads as well. So it's not the only ad they see. So they have to remember kind of ads, brands from different ads as well. The fact that 87% correctly identified Tide as the brand being advertised is massive.
Yeah, that is really huge, absolutely huge. I suppose I was thinking about it because they watch a bit of programming, right? And then a few ads. And then when we're asking about it, we're like, which ads do you remember seeing advertised? So they have to have paid enough attention to the ad to have noticed it to start with and have got the brand out. And for 9 out of 10 people almost to do that is off the scale. And it looks like it does well in other areas, but should we dive into why that branding's so strong first?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we play back the ad, the brand doesn't come in until the very kind of last 11 seconds of it. So it's only within the last third that the brand really makes an appearance. And the reason why it's picked up by so many people, I mean, beyond the fact that they really kind of like drive their distinctive brand assets towards the end with the product being shown, the logo being shown, like a bright orange background as well, when they're displaying a message, and then the constant kind of like audio cues about the brand. More importantly, it's the fact that the brand ties the story together. So it's what everyone ends up using to kind of get the stains out of their clothes. And it kind of, well, yeah, it really makes sure that it lands that message of it's Tide that's going to help you get your stains off effectively, and stains happen to everyone, and Tide's here to kind of like help you out and get rid of them.
Yeah, and we'll not look at the data from that here, but we do have a question where we basically ask people to talk about what they remember from the ad. And usually people remember like one thing, or they remember a particular creative moment, or broadly what happened. But in this case, the two most mentioned things are stain removal and Tide. Over the half of the people, when they actually talk about what happens in the ad, are actually playing back those things, which just shows an incredible kind of focus on the brand, even though, like you said, the actual brand appears later, but the whole storyline only makes sense because of the brand, and the brand that comes in as the, how would you describe it, accessible hero, ultimately, to helping people, which I guess is why the branding's so strong. And I guess related to that then, with the brand being so strong, and I just mentioned in Story Recall, they talk about stain removal as well. I'm assuming that the message is also coming through strongly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone gets straight away that it's all about Tide cleaning effectively. And it's essentially, well, there's two sides of it, right? It's the stains happen to all of us, and that's almost like normal, and they convey that through almost like the chain of people, the little girl up to kind of the legend that is Carl Lewis. And then on top of that, it's that message of clearly like Tide is the one that's going to help you get rid of them most successfully. So we can see here the kind of like the unaided message recall. It's all about stains, but then Tide plays a massive role in that. So if we just click on that, Tide gets stains out of clothes easily. Tide detergent gets rid of stains on clothes. If you've got a stain on your shirt, no worries, Tide will take care of it. Very, very clear what the product does and how effectively it does it. And we saw previously as well in the diagnosis of the sales impact score and the brand impact score that the ad performed really well on category drivers. And the top selected attribute for what the ad was seen as delivering for the brand is the message of it cleans effectively. Secondly, that the product is high quality. And then thirdly, that it's something for everyone. So it really shows as well kind of like the versatility and how it can help any type of person in removing stains out of their clothes.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And yeah, I mean, the brand, the message, the storyline, they all work together. There's kind of no disconnect there. And even to your point, we often see celebrities dominate or not being used in the right way. But in here, they are the supporting crew that add a bit of cultural resonance at this point in time because of the Olympics, right? But they're not dominating the ad. They're playing a role, a very resonant role in terms of bringing to life stain removal and making it accessible to everyone. And even that verbatim you just showed us makes it sound like almost, it's not just that it gets stains out, it's almost like it just does it. It's just easy. It's not a problem for anyone. Everyone can clear the stains out, no problem. So really powerful. Shall we dive a little bit more into the emotions? We saw the emotion from the ad was quite good, and particularly I think if we dive a bit deeper, driven by people liking the ad and a little bit of love. Should we have a little look at how the kind of the narrative arc moves through the ad?
Typically, when we see an ad with a strong emotional score, we tend to assume it's either kind of like highly humorous or highly lovable, perhaps having like quite an evoking quite an intense positive reaction. But this ad isn't necessarily all of that. It's very understated in the way it delivers emotion. I think where it drives the biggest level of appeal and the biggest level of kind of like emotional engagement is how relatable it is and how familiar it is for people. It's just kind of it's the equivalent of kind of like the girl next door in terms of ads, I guess. It's just showcasing something that's very everyday, feels very comfortable, is told in a very kind of like light-hearted and slightly humorous way, and that really gets to the audience because ultimately they can relate to it.
Yeah, that's right. And if you look at those kind of spikes, just I guess, you can see each time people are almost getting to understand the story as they go. Each time that someone has a spillage and a stain, and they're kind of thinking, oh, am I the only one who does that? Someone else wouldn't. And then it goes to the next person. You can kind of see the peaks, but also see the overall build as people get into the story.
Yeah. And there are clear moments of like laughter as well that peek through, but it's ultimately that feeling of like, and some of that feeling of love that drives the strong emotional reaction from the audience.
There's that little peak of love right at the end. What does that refer to?
Yeah, that is, I think is the brand coming through really. So if we go back to it,
America's number one.
it's the sponsorship of the Olympics. So obviously people love the fact that Tide is sponsoring Team USA, is associated to the Olympics, and obviously with the Olympics fast approaching, it adds to kind of like the relevance of the moment in which the ad has come out.
It's also quite interesting because that's certainly, in a good way, it doesn't dominate. Like what people are playing back about the ad is the whole story and the whole idea, of course, of stain removal. And it's done through the athletes, but it's almost just like it adds an extra little glow. They haven't overclaimed their role, but it kind of explains why the athletes are there. It's a nice little ending rather than a dominating thing, which obviously is something that can be more problematic if it dominates and the brand doesn't have a role. It's an extra add-on.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's all about highlighting the element of like that best of us. So you're seeing almost like the hierarchy of people going up in the ad. And they could have done that with someone else. I mean, they could have done that with a different celebrity, say, for example. I don't know, they could have put Brad Pitt in there as someone that people idolize, or I don't know, Madonna, anyone really could have played that role. But in this case, it just made sense that it was Olympic athletes and they are very much the very best at what they do, and everyone knows that. So having them also spill stuff on themselves and use Tide kind of gets everyone into the same playing field, which is exactly what the ad is trying to convey here. That when it comes to cleaning, everyone needs the same product and Tide is the one that they need.
Nice. And is it the same things that you've just been talking about that we see when we look at what people liked about the ad?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the relatability and how the message is conveyed in the ad, and I guess just the character interactions throughout, people really loved. So you can see there kind of like first and foremost the content delivery of the ad, like how the ad actually told the story, the characters, the scenario, the style in which it was delivered. So if we go more into it and we have a look at the characters. I liked how the ad transitioned from amateur athletes to Olympic legends, and how it showed that everyone, even high-performing athletes, get stains on their clothes. It's funny, like Noah Lyles eating pasta in Paris, Carl Lewis getting stains on his shirt, sitting in his living room, direct, funny, relevant. And this one here, the way it rotated through the characters and points out anyone can spill food no matter who you are, and it's easy to remove the stains with Tide. So all that kind of like plays back the fact that it's very much, I mean, the title of the ad, stains happen to the best of us, and Tide has a role in kind of helping everyone with that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I guess if we were to summarize about what they've really got right here, it's the fact that their priority is clearly to tell the story about the brand. So the fact that stains happen to people and Tide make that not a problem. So I think I use the expression an accessible hero, not an unattainable hero, but they sort out the problem. That's been the priority. But then what they've done is been able to find a way of telling that story that taps into a moment in culture, that taps into the Olympics. The Olympics don't dominate, but the use of the Olympic heroes over time, right up to present day, just allows them to tell that story about their brand in a yet more resonant and timely way, that just really makes it, I think, accessible, relatable, clear, and a great way of telling their story.
Yeah, and it is quite different to a lot of the Olympic ads that we've been seeing so far as well. A lot of them take a very motivational approach, very kind of like inspirational. In this case, they just position the Olympic athletes as another person, which I think adds to the relatability of it and just puts a different spin on that Olympic take, just as the Olympics are coming up.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And some of the ones that we've seen, again, like the Olympic heroes, are very much at the heart of the ad rather than the brand. And I think what they've done really nicely here is balance those two things.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Isa, presumably we'll have another Olympic ad for next week. Let's see. We'll
Yeah.
keep you waiting. But yeah, we're very excited. The Euros have finished here. Some people are very sad. I happen to be Scottish, so I wasn't as involved in that. And Isa, I imagine you were happy with the Spain win, so congratulations.
Yeah.
But on to the Olympics next, not so far off, just over a week away.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone, and we'll be back next week.
Thank you.